through the 61% of possession they had, but it's Villa who march on to Wembley. So we have a Wembley finalist. We had a great game of football, Craig.
Well, actually, and that possession, the possession surprises me a little because I personally didn't think it felt like that. It didn't feel that Leicester had more, but it didn't feel that they dominated the possession like the stats would suggest. It was a weird kind of, you're right, it was an excellent game. Open, entertaining, what you want from a semi-final with somebody taking the glory at the end. But as Shaq mentioned, Nyland in goal was superb first half. And then Villa came into it. Obviously they took the lead. Everything came down, a lot came down the left. Grealish fading out to the left and Target getting forward on the overlap. That happened quite a lot. And then in the second half, when Leicester pushed for a bit, and then Villa looked like the side, to me, that was going to go on and get the second goal and maybe even the third goal. They missed a couple of great chances. Equaliser comes along, you think, right, that's it. The pendulum has swung. And it did. It did swing, and Villa, they rode the luck a little bit with some of those chances, and Leicester were maybe a little profligate in front of goal, and they got the sucker punch at the end. It's hard to say Villa didn't deserve it, but you think about the last time they played Man City, recently at home, pummeled by 6-1. That's not going to spoil the celebrations tonight, but it's just putting it in context.
Lots of wide-open, swashbuckling football, as Craig said. Two players in particular, Jack Grealish, James Maddison. How good are these two players? Because they put on a show tonight.
Simply outstanding. Both of them. We've been singing their praises all season long. Maybe less so for Grealish just because of Villa's struggles. But everything about Aston Villa goes through Jack Grealish. Whenever they're good, he has to be fantastic. And he was on the night. Now, if you look at these two teams in the table, judging on today's performances, it's not a whole lot between them. But again, as you look at the Premier League table, you see the gulf between these two sides, and it doesn't quite add up. Aston Villa, I thought, were very good when they had their opportunities. They made the most of them, and in a game that swung each way. Nyland very good early on. I don't really remember Schmeichel making too many saves, but then he conceded a couple. And as you rightly point out, the two main protagonists for both teams would stand out.
Well, absolutely brilliant for Aston Villa to get back to Wembley. Remember, they were just there for the Championship playoff final in May where they beat Derby. Who will they be facing is the question. Well, the odds makers are in no doubt whatsoever. Not going to win much money on Manchester City advancing to the final. Remember, they lead 3-1. Manchester United, well, if you fancy a flutter, you can get 28-1 on them advancing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, though, saying, listen, we can't just defend. We have to try and keep the ball and make them run after the ball. Perfect performance it has to be, but we have done amazing things before at this club. And the PSG game is, for me, a very, very good example. Frank Leboeuf is with us. Frank, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talking about a game nearly a year ago, of course, where they did turn around a 2-goal advantage in the Champions League. Are you surprised he's referencing that game?
Not at all. That was kind of a miracle, and nobody expected Manchester United to come to Parc des Princes and win and get through. So he can use that to motivate everybody and makes hopes around the team with the fans. So it's but to be fair, it was more, and I don't want to be harsh too much to Manchester United, and I'm not a Paris Saint-Germain fan whatsoever. It's just that it's more Paris Saint-Germain who didn't play that game more than Manchester United who had a fantastic game. It was more mistakes from Buffon, mistakes from Kerrer, and given goals to Manchester United. So again, I don't know if they can really use that, but do they have another reference to have and to make before that game against Manchester City? I don't think so.
First leg, Adrian. It would have to take a diabolical performance from Man City not to go through.
As you said, United have beaten City at the Etihad in the league.
Listen, the bookies have it as they do for a reason. And I understand Solskjaer trying to draw inspiration from somewhere. The trouble is, Manchester United of late haven't had inspiring performances. And she'll have to look to a game from a year ago to find some kind of encouragement in this one. But listen, you understand Solskjaer trying to find a spark from somewhere, but as a neutral, you just don't see how United turn this around. Not this United.
I think if United go... Look, I think there's an expectation by United fans with common sense that having watched the first leg, it's unlikely they're going to go through. I think what they have to avoid, clearly, without stating the obvious, is a pummelling, right? Because clearly they're not going to get rid of Solskjaer. That's not going to happen we've discussed it. It's not going to happen at the moment. So the one thing, or they're not going to happen barring a disaster. So he just has to avoid a disaster. Anything else for him is an absolute bonus.
Well, some good news today for Manchester United. Apparently the Bruno Fernandes deal is very much back on. Reports that he is due to arrive at Old Trafford tomorrow. Other good news, or is it? A potential return to Manchester United.
Good news if Henrik Larsson's coming back.
For Alexis Sanchez, apparently. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying, hey, listen, the Henrik Larsson was good enough. Nemanja Vidic, Patrice Evra, talking about previous January signings. It's hard, very hard. The club don't want to lose their best players. And Alexis Sanchez will come back in the summer to prove you all wrong.
And then people laughed.
Yeah. Well, this is what he's done for Inter on loan so far this season. Pretty good start, we have to say, to life. But then, of course, injury taking its toll. Just 7 games, 214 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist. Craig, what do you make of him mentioning...
There was almost some derision in the press room when he came out with this comment. You know, there's actually one journalist that you heard... For those that saw our planet, with an iota of a brain, is going to buy that.
I find this totally confusing. Now, this story or this press conference was done before the Bruno Fernandes story broke, and or you felt it moved us as far as it did. I just thought you start a press conference about January transfer signings or lack of at the time, and it somehow swings to Alexis Sanchez, a return in the summer, a player that you have and has failed, and as you mentioned, Adrian, started well enough at Inter, but it hasn't been great over recent weeks. Again, it goes back to Solskjaer, and I find what he says in the media is becoming more and more confusing.
Or even, Frank, could you say desperate? It just sounds a little desperate to be talking about Alexis Sanchez, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you have to understand that he has to give a speech to the fans when he talks to the press, and he has to give maybe for the fans some hopes that there is a bright future very soon for Manchester United. I mean, it's very, very sad in a way. Maybe not desperate, but sad that when you're the coach, you know that there is no top player who want to come to Manchester United nowadays, which is very, very sad for that fantastic club. But who wants to come? We don't even know if Cavani is going to come. I'm not sure he's going to come. But top world-class player don't want to go to Manchester United right now because it's a big mess, and it's been like that for like even a decade. So it's complicated for Solskjaer to say, well, what can I say to the fans? What can I say to my team that somebody's going to come to reinforce our squad? And the only person maybe is Sanchez, who already belongs to the club.
Well, I'm sure Manchester United amongst the subjects discussed on the Gab and Jules podcast. New version dropped just yesterday. You can check it out on the ESPN Pod Center or Apple Podcasts. Now, ahead of the AC Milan Torino Coppa Italia quarterfinal, an emotional tribute to the semi-final. So in the space of 90 minutes, or actually less than 90 minutes, he came on sub. We saw the best and the worst of one Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, well, actually, I saw him on the bench, and he was directing traffic. He was almost like another coach on the bench. He's clearly into this project about going back there and trying to help out Milan. So he was playing a part as a substitute, and then he played a big part again when he came on. But he has in every game that he's played, and there is no doubt that he's had an impact both on and off the field, because almost to a man, those Milan players have raised their game.
They were a whole lot better once he was on the park. Torino, I thought, deserved to get their 2 goals. I thought they were better, the 2 teams. But once Zlatan was introduced, you saw AC Milan raise their game, saying that you could probably put that down to Torino and trying to run the clock out. But not only did Çalhanoğlu grab the equaliser, even after the miss, Zlatan still brought the best out of Sirigu before the end of the regulation, 90 minutes. And then in extra time, you knew with Zlatan on the park, there was only ever going to be one winner.
We saw the tributes to Kobe Bryant from the Rossoneri before the game. Of course, his ties to soccer well established. Barcelona themselves at training today, paying their respects to Kobe Bryant. And not just, of course, in Italy and in Spain, but also in France. We've seen the headlines around the world. The L'Equipe one was particularly notable. L'Étoile Bryant, the star Bryant. That was the headline that they went with. Frank, I want to bring you in on this. I just wonder if you can give us some sort of sense of the reaction to Kobe Bryant's death that you've seen in France.
Yeah, Kobe was one of us, sport people who belong to all the sports, and we shared so many common things, and that we feel so close to him right now. In France, we all followed Tony Parker, Boris Dio, and some others, and Ronny Choya, for example. So we saw Kobe playing. We saw Kobe being so fantastic that he came close to Michael Jordan. I was hosting a show last year where I invited Tony Parker, and when I asked him who was the best player that he ever played with and against, and he said Kobe Bryant. And that guy was big, was talented, and we felt for football players that he knew our world because he was born in Europe, and he understood the meaning of all the culture we have about soccer. So I had the chance to see him playing when I was living in Los Angeles, and he's the guy who takes all the sparks of the game, and on top of it, he was decisive. So it was like, something big above France too, and we share with all his family and United States of America the sadness that I'm sure they feel. So we all very, very, very sad.
Well said, Frank. Lots more questions coming your way of a slightly different tone, I imagine, on Extra Time. You can see your questions answered. You can hear them answered on our YouTube channel every day of the week. Coppa Italia bracket now looking like this. AC Milan against Juventus. One of the semi-finals is sealed. Napoli already through in the other semi-final. The last quarter-final takes place on Wednesday. Inter Milan and Fiorentina. A little earlier today, Inter's newest signing announced his arrival.
Hi Inter fans, it's Christian Eriksen here. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope bring a lot of joy and a lot of good football. So I'll see you in the stadium. Forza Inter.
Christian Eriksen, an Inter Milan player. What do you make of it, Frank?
Well, different things. It's the kind of player that I'm really fond of. Very elegant, very efficient, very classy. A little bit of like Dennis Bergkamp, I would say. I think it's sad ending for him and Spurs. Maybe the end of a cycle, but I think he should have had a better exit, let's say, and I think it's a big plus for Inter Milan. Again, I'm very fond of those kind of players who can bring something very special during a game, and I'm sure he's going to serve the Italian team very, very well. Of course, I wish him the best, but very sad again for Tottenham.
It was a long, drawn-out exit, Craig, from Spurs. So ultimately, how much do you think they're going to miss him?
Well, it could have been longer because it could have waited to the summer and it would have been a free transfer. Yeah, they're going to miss him, but he hasn't played well this season for various reasons. One of them might have been the move on his mind. Secondly, Mourinho, if he's given time there, needs a bit of a rebuild. That's clear for everybody to say. But for the player himself, it's a terrific move. He's gone to a great club, fighting for the Scudetto. And if I was Lautaro Martinez and Romelu Lukaku, the front pairing, I'll be licking my lips at having a guy who can pick a pass and find a run in the squad, because that's what he's going to be to start with in the squad.
I like Eriksen in this Inter team, given the creativity that he brings to a midfield that I don't think has a lot and have relied a lot on counter-attacking with that front duo that Craig just mentioned makes a whole lot of sense. For Spurs, obviously, now you know that he's gone. You're able to deal with that. You expect come this summer. It's not easy to replace that kind of a talent, but at least it gives you, at least you know where you are with him and what you need to do.
How much does this shift the balance of power, do you think, Juventus and Inter? I know Lazio are in the race too, but is it a significant shift?
Well, I don't think Juventus will be quaking in the boots, but what it's doing is it's giving Conte options. It's something that he's moaned about in the first few months of the season about, he turns to the bench and he hasn't got enough. He's had injuries to Barella and Sensi and others, and he's bemoaned this scenario, so it gives them another string to the bow. And if they are going to go all the way to the end of the season, that's what they're going to need.
All right, on tomorrow's edition of the show, Sid Lowe will be amongst our guests. We'll also, of course, be reviewing the second Carabao Cup semi-final second leg, and that would be the Manchester derby. All the action on your ESPN Plus screens. Big one tomorrow, Wednesday, 2:45. Manchester derby, City and United in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg. Remember, City 3-1 up from the first leg. That is not all. The Coppa Italia quarter-final, the last remaining semi-final spot at stake between Inter and Fiorentina. Same start time, 2:45 Eastern. Paul, getting there by the skin of your teeth. Athletic Bilbao through round of 16 remaining fixtures, all available on ESPN Plus. You can see all the big guns in action, including Real Madrid and Barcelona on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Now, a significant round of midweek fixtures in the Championship. A really significant result at Ellen Road. Leeds United, the leaders, were in trouble. 2-0 down at home to Millwall. Came back to win it 3-2. West Brom, another defeat for them in Wales against Cardiff. Big night for Nottingham Forest as well. Going to West London, informed Brentford and winning by a 0-0. And you look at the top of the Championship. Leeds still there. West Brom faltering. Forest hot on their heels. And you've got Fulham, Brentford and Bristol City making up the rest of the top six. But it's incredibly tight, Craig.
Blackburn Rovers in 10th, 10 points off automatic. It's not undoable. It's unlikely it's not undoable. That's how tight this division is. Nottingham Forest are pragmatic under their coach. I saw them over the Christmas and New Year period. Even at home, they don't outpossess teams generally, but get the job done. And the two boys at the top, although Leeds won, are making heavy weather of it.
And you've seen Leeds have this kind of commanding lead as they did last season, and just come unstuck, as we've spoken about in depth, certainly during the course of last season. What has surprised me, though, is West Brom's own drop-off in form in the Slaven Bilic. No wins now in 7. That's dating back to mid-December. Yet still somehow in the top 2. They've got to right that ship. Otherwise, they could find themselves in the playoffs. Not an easy place to be when you've sat in the automatic spots for as long as they have. Just quickly, give me the 2 automatic names right now. Who you think goes straight up? Oh, goodness. Leeds staying there? I'm going to stick with Leeds and West Brom. I think Slaven Bilic changed it around. And surely Leeds have learned from the lessons of last season. Forest, Craig? Fancy him?
I don't think the way they go about it is going to... I don't think that's going to last the course for automatic.
Right.
But I do think clearly now they're in a great position to get in the playoffs. But as I mentioned, it's so tight there that you can quickly fall out of that scenario. And I don't think Forest are quite there yet for automatic. Watch out for Brentford, even though Forest beat them tonight. New stadium coming up. That would be some story. West Brom, we mentioned them. Somehow they went to West Ham and won in the FA Cup over the weekend. West Ham are out of the relegation zone at the moment. Just by the skin of their teeth. Goal difference slightly better than Bournemouth. And West Ham entertain Liverpool tomorrow in the Premier League. Yeah, West Ham have a difficult run in coming weeks, and you just kind of wonder where they get points from here on in. Moyes has his hands full. Listen, he's been here, he's done it previously with West Ham. Right now, it's bleak, especially when you consider the recent form of Watford. I'm concerned, I really am. I'm sensing you're not thinking tomorrow is where West Ham may get points. Well, you never know. I'm doubtful. I think a bit.
No Sadio Mane.
A bit of a pasting could be on the cards. But listen, just quickly, they've made the call on David Moyes. He knows what it's like to fight and get teams out of trouble. Let them try and do that, and then West Ham have to go and try and recruit better going forward.
Will Liverpool roll on? We'll review that and the Manchester derby in the Carabao Cup on tomorrow's show. We'll see you then. Here we go then with extra time. Thanks again, as always, for your questions. Lots of them. Again, there's proof.
Well, let's get going then.
No folding the paper in half this time to get rid of that. That was a good suggestion.
Fold it in 4 pieces.
Andas saying, what was the worst injury in your career? And Craig, being in inverted commas permanently grouchy, cannot be used as a career-ending injury. As a qualifier.
I'm only grouchy on the show. You know, I'm as happy as Larry on the golf course.
Well, yes, I can vouch for that.
It's a persona just to wind people up.
I can vouch for that. What was the worst injury in your career?
I was quite lucky, actually. I mean, well, not lucky in some sense. That's me leaning again. I got... I had 6 operations and I'd missed a chunk.
That doesn't sound that lucky.
Yeah. No, but I mean, there was nothing worse. The worst one, I had a couple of hernias, 3 knee ops, and I had the worst one I probably had was my Achilles, which luckily wasn't torn, but it had to be repaired. So it wasn't completely snapped, so it wasn't that. So when I say lucky, I mean ACLs for players, which are common now, are unlucky. And the worst case scenario, well, one of the worst cases is a badly broken leg. So, you know, I've seen...
Managed to avoid all of those.
I broke my leg. It wasn't badly. It was just 4 inches above my ankle. It was the small of the bones, the fibula, the smaller one. Okay, broke that and tore the ligament on the inside of my ankle. So I still have a plate in there.
Do you?
And I have a couple of scars.
How long were you out for with that? How long did that keep you out?
I broke it in February 2000 and... I was out for the rest of the season. Started the next season.
5 months.
Yeah.
4 months.
Monsieur Leboeuf is with us. Frank, your worst injury as a player?
Well, if Craig is lucky with 6 surgery, I think I won at the lottery because I never had any surgery in my life. And zero. I just had a groin problem twice, and when I signed for Chelsea, I got injured straight before the game where we play at Old Trafford against Manchester United, and it lasted 6 months, so I had to play with anti-inflammatories, and I got an ulcer in my esophagus, so it's lasted, in fact, a year, but I didn't want a surgery. I carried on, and then he went out without any surgery, so I'm very, very, very lucky.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing, that, for a player to come through any level. I mean, it doesn't matter what level, if it's the highest level or lower divisions. If you're playing amount of games that professionals are playing, for Frank or any player not even to have, say, like a simple cartilage operation, which is keyhole surgery now, you're in and out and playing again in 3 and 4 weeks, but it's so common.
Yeah.
And to go through and not have that is...
Just don't do your ACL on a stage in France, Frank, and then require surgery. That would be a little ironic. More on your acting career.
I would take care of that.
More on your acting career a little later, by the way. Shaka Zeki Zai, how would you rate your 2006 World Cup performance? I'm not sure what scale he wants you to rate it on, but...
I enjoyed it.
On the enjoyment...
On the enjoyment scale, it was right up there. And listen, it was what it was. I enjoyed it as a fan, I guess, being able to play in Trinidad and Tobago's first ever World Cup appearance. Wherever you make the performance, you can't take that away from me.
Yeah. Now, we enjoyed it. Good. Enjoyed the first 82 minutes of the game against England.
Yeah, that was going well. I thought we'd hold out. England scoring the 83rd and like 96.
Crouchy.
I can't remember. It's like
Crouch pulling Brent Sancho's hair. You remember
that? I played with Brent Sancho.
Did you?
I don't know. Short period in Scotland.
Oh yeah, okay,
Dundee, but he was at Dundee for a bit. We reminisce.
Yes, Gentile for Frank. Why is Lenglet not starting for Les Bleus for the national team? He's far better than Umtiti, says Gentile. Do you agree?
Well, first he plays in the first 11, where Umtiti is a substitute for Barcelona. Lately he played for France alongside Varane. So things are changing, and Umtiti is not anymore the main player alongside Varane. So Langley became. So I think Gentil Gibril is a little bit late in the news. So Langley is now in the first 11.
Okay. Can Shaka still dunk a basketball?
No.
Asks Arsenal Vegas.
Yeah. I used to be able to. Don't laugh. I used to be able to.
My back.
I used to be able to. I'm telling you.
Did you? You got up there and...
Tell you what, you could get a local newspaper under your feet. You struggle to get the paper under there when you jump.
I used to be able to dunk a basketball comfortably, 2 hands. I can't anymore.
No way.
Yes, I could.
Was one of those basketball nets that they can lower?
Is it one of those little plastic ones?
The kids' ones.
The toy ones.
It's quite hard to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, I know, Craig.
I can't.
Yes,
Never
I know.
played.
It's
I
very,
played.
it's very
I tell you,
difficult
I
to
played
do.
basketball. I did play.
Just the 100.
And those local newspapers are a lot thinner than they used to be.
Yeah, slide it under, you struggle.
Don't judge by jumping by how thick your newspaper is, please.
David said, I Googled Frank after he talked about his acting, and it says, Frank Leboeuf is a French actor, sports commentator, and former footballer. And it says it in that order. So, Frank, do you approve of that order?
Ooh.
Actor, commentator, footballer.
Well, I was a footballer and I'm an actor and a consultant.
But would you say footballer first? Would you say Frank Leboeuf is an ex-footballer and current actor and whatever else he does?
Sports commentator.
Sports commentator.
That stuff with us.
What order? What's the order you want to be known as?
I am an ex-footballer, I'm an actor, and I'm a talent or consultant, I don't know how you say, journalist, yeah. Mm-hmm. But my main job is acting. Is also directing, is also producing, whatever it is. Too many things, whatever.
See, that's right though, because that's correct, because he's currently, it's chronologically.
Right.
Acting now, broadcasting, and footballer.
I don't know why anyone would have an issue with that order, but...
I don't think it's an issue. I think it was...
Well, it is to David, because he's
David's
surprised.
just asking why it's not footballer.
Right.
What's most important to you? What do you prefer to be?
Golf.
Best in the... Well, there you go. Craig Burley is an avid golfer.
Try to be a golfer.
And, consummate drinker.
It's avid...
consummate drinker.
Wannabe PGA golfer. 100% Steve Nicol golf coach.
Right.
As we found out earlier, chef.
Part-time chef, full-time lager taster.
Mm-hmm. Dietitian for Mr. Nicol.
Yeah.
No, I'm not that. I can't be that.
Yeah, but Adrian, can I come back to the question? Can I come back to the question?
Please do.
The thing, I think everything you do, as long as you do it with passion, and if you love what you do, it doesn't matter the order. You know, I loved being a footballer. I love, of course, being on stage and be an actor. I love being with you guys and with Christophe Dugarry every afternoon that I do the radio show. It's just, there's no need to be in order, to be in order. You just need to be passionate when you do it. That's it.
Mm. That Leboeuf and Dugarry radio
Frank's
show.
made me all emotional now.
Yeah. I got to listen to that, by the way. Wouldn't understand many words.
Exactly.
The Leboeuf and Dugarry.
Well, that's right up your street, that is. Listen to something. Listen to something that you've no idea what to say.
Why are Arsenal doing last-minute deals for defenders? Have they not learned their lesson, says Addy. I guess they have been.
Arsenal have been bemusing for a long time. I mean, the last-minute transfer activity, the allowing your best players to go out of contract, and then you're forced to either just kind of let them go or put them on silly money. It's beyond me that Arsenal keep making these same mistakes over and over again.
They've been bitten before in the January transfer window, with defenders particularly.
Well, like many clubs, it's recruitment that's a big part of the problem for them, not just managers and coaches. There you go.
All right, well, Hisham, finally, the deal that did get done today. Is Inter really a step up over Spurs for Eriksen? He could have become a serial winner under Mourinho.
Can someone talk me through that video, by the way? Can someone talk me through that Christian Eriksen Inter Milan video?
How he got the...
Yeah. We sat in the studio looking at that, and Craig summed it up well. The game's gone. I don't get it. I really don't.
And I also don't get this. Tottenham are a wonderful club. There's many great clubs out there. But a serial winner at Tottenham? Tottenham, where's... You only got to
the
look
trophy cabinet is not...
It's not brimming, particularly not in recent years. And they're a long way, they're even further away than they were 12 months, 18 months ago. Inter Milan, people think because clubs have got money now or moving to a new stadium, you know, Bournemouth are in the Premier League. They got millions because of the TV revenue. It doesn't mean they're a big club. Not suggesting Tottenham and Bournemouth are the same thing, but I'm just saying, just because you're in the Premier League doesn't mean you're the greatest club on the planet. Inter Milan, historically, are wiping the floor.
Much bigger club, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Much bigger.
I think the suggestion from this tweet is that because Mourinho is there, and because
I
Mourinho is a serial winner,
I get that,
Spurs
but-
are all of a sudden going to be a serial winning club.
Yeah,
Which
no.
I don't get that part.
No, they did have this discussion. We brought it up a couple of weeks ago. They did have this discussion on a network in England, and it was pretty pathetic, I have to say. You know, is Tottenham a bigger club than Inter Milan? The producer should have stopped it there and marched the people off the set.
Yeah.
Go and have a rethink about that. Come back on and give another answer.
Very Anglo-centric view, Frank. I'm sure you'd agree. It's not even close, is it? Inter versus Spurs?
Well, nowadays, you know, you can say that Spurs are bigger than Inter because they reached the Champions League and they're more performing European-wise than Inter. But I agree with Craig. Historically talking, come on, Inter Milan has a full, as you say, trophy cabinet and is one of the biggest clubs in the world. So no, Spurs is not as big as Inter in the history of football, but lately Tottenham has been bigger than Inter.
They'll be discussing on the LeBeuf and Dugarry podcast.
They will.
You can listen.
I will be tuning in, Frank,
You can
tomorrow
listen in to
afternoon.
hear exactly
what
what
time do you do the show, Frank? I need to find it somehow on French.
What time do I what?
Do you do the show with Christophe Dugarry? We need to listen.
Oh, it's between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and sometimes Wednesday.
French time. All right, I'm going to hunt it down. Hunt it down on this thing.
I
Do you
gotta
know, getting to the Champions League final doesn't mean you're a big club. Who's been at the Champions? Let's have a little think. Porto won it.
Porto won it.
Yeah.
Against Monaco.
Porto won it.
Monaco got to that same
Monaco,
Yeah, that's in final.
you know, not big clubs doesn't mean all of a sudden you're a big club. So just because, you know, it's like winning the FA Cup. Who won it? Cardiff? Who won the FA Cup?
Portsmouth won it.
Portsmouth won it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wigan Athletic,
Wigan
thank
won it,
you.
yeah.
Beat Man City, that cost Mancini his job ultimately that day. You know, because you're in a final doesn't mean, I'm not saying Tottenham, but you know, Tottenham have only just moved from a 36,000 all-seater stadium. Literally, within 12 months, have just moved.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, they're wiping Inter Milan out the record books. Off it pops, son. Nah,